Hello and welcome to the Skipper's View podcast. Back with 100 episodes, 167. We got Ben Weaver, frequent flyer, on this podcast recently, and we got Grant from Database Hit. Grant, why don't you give us a little intro about yourself?
Yeah, pleasure to be on. As you already said, my Twitter handle is Database Hit. Kind of started it as just like an overall MLB analysis, some fantasy baseball analysis. But I'm a Detroit Tigers fan, and so I started curating more of my content to the Detroit Tigers, especially with the recent playoff push that we made at the end of the 2024 season. So find me on Twitter for Detroit Tigers and generic baseball content.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. We don't really have that many AL Central guys that are under the Skipper's View umbrella right now. So always a pleasure to add somebody who's a supporter of one of those teams. We'll start off with though, former resident Detroit Tiger, Max Scherzer. He's making news this week. So he calls out the ABS system, and his quotation, "Can we just play baseball?" And then he was also further quoted saying, "We're going so far down the wormhole." He wanted to say, "Can we just play baseball? We're humans. Can we be judged by humans?" What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'll let Grant, you go first on this. Are you a fan of ABS, and what are your thoughts on Scherzer calling out the system at this point?
I liked what I've seen so far. I think it needs to be a little bit more fine tuned before we go into the major leagues, but it's been efficient. And as long as guys aren't overusing it, which I think there's going to be a cap on how many times they use it per game, it doesn't surprise me. Scherzer's comments, he's been like this, like I feel like since he was with Detroit, and he wasn't even like one of those old heads in the clubhouse. But I remember when they did the pitch clock, he even messed with it and waited to the last second to then quick pitch a hitter and try to catch him off guard. So he's just one of those guys that doesn't want to be told what to do, and I kind of respect that he is staying true to himself that way.
Ben, any strong thoughts on Scherzer? Is this just expected from the old man in the clubhouse?
I mean, I'm 27. I don't think I'm old, but I feel the exact same way. Say I'm shaking my fist at the clouds. I don't care. All right. Max Scherzer is completely right. I want umpires to call this game exactly how they feel. Like, how are you going to rip away moments like Carlos Zambrano throwing an umpire out of the game, or, just other moments like that where players and coaches have just flipped out? I don't know. It's part of the game. It's part of the beauty of baseball. You're going to get in the Hall of Fame for succeeding 3 out of 10 times as a hitter. So why not embrace that imperfection in the umpire system?
That's well said. I like both takes on how you guys view it. I'm kind of a new guy where it's like, if the game's for the fans and everyone's complaining about the strike zones and umpires, even though like the umpires, if you look at it, like their numbers, they don't really miss that many calls in general. Like we flip out about the, like, ruining a perfect game. Jim Joyce, I get it. Like we get upset about that, but like, how often does that happen? Never. It
I mean,
rarely happens. That's why he's famous for doing it.
MLB umpires are generally considered the best referees in sports, like across the board between NFL and, basketball and hockey, all of them. Like MLB is considered the best. So why not let these guys do what they do and not basically make their job obsolete?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. We'll talk with more frustration coming from Boston Red Sox player. He claims, and this is Rafael Devers we're talking about, claims he's not frustrated with the Red Sox, going along with all this Alex Bregman position debacle. I don't know how much I buy this. What do you guys think Devers is at right now? And so, for those who haven't paid attention to Bregman, brought in, he's willing to play second base. Red Sox might want him to play third because he's a better fielder, and move Devers to either first base or DH, depending what they do with Casas. Uh, Devers just signed this big extension a few years ago, correct? And you got now Bregman signing a massive AAV deal only for 3 years. Do you think that he's actually not upset with everything going on, or do you think he's just playing hush hush for the better of the team at this point? Ben, we can start with you.
Yeah, I don't think that he's frustrated at all. I mean, it seemed funny in the moment whenever he was talking to the reporter, like as point blank as he was just like looking at the reporter like, "Are you dumb?" But no, it was. I don't think he's mad. I think he just kind of caught him off guard a little bit, like the Red Sox, bringing in Alex Bregman. I'm sure. I'm sure they didn't really have that like actual sit down conversation. Like, hey, you're going to DH. I mean, he just signed a $300 million extension a couple years ago. Like, I don't know. I think he's fine. I think it's all blown way out of proportion at this point. It was a funny soundbite. Tristan Costas also chimed in with another funny soundbite the day after. So it is what it is, man. I think Devers is fine. I think all is well in Beantown.
Yeah. Well, the other good news about Boston right now is, which I want to bring up, Garrett Crochet. He just, was moved to the Red Sox this offseason via trade. And it's the easiest comparison to make. Both nasty left-hand pitchers, both moved from the White Sox to the Red Sox. In the famous words of my buddy Pat McGovern, sack sucks. And them continuing that tradition of going to that series every year. Garrett Crochet claims he wants to stay with Boston long term. So now, is this? I have to ask the question, and Grant, we'll start with you on this. Is this Chris Sale 2.0 happening to the White Sox here?
Well, I feel like Chris Sale was further in his career when he got traded compared to when Crochet got signed. And I don't know. I think I haven't gathered that Crochet's got the same type of like personality that Sale did, where it was like it don't mess with me, like, and threw tantrums after bad starts. So I think Crochet is just excited to get paid for what he's worth and hoping that he gets that max deal after he proves that he can withhold a full workload. Because last year, the White Sox limited him to try to keep his value up, and it's his first true season starting. So I think he's just like, this is the team that took a chance on me, and I want to prove that like I'm worth it and hope to get the maximum value after this season.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think? Do you think Crochet is for real? He's going to stay in Boston a long time? And when I ask this question, I mean like the impact of like they're moving a monumental starter, and essentially like they have to beg that Kyle Teal pans out. They have to beg that the other pieces of that trade work out. And like this guy's a stud, Crochet. It's very much looking so. So Ben, what are your thoughts on Crochet? You think he's the real deal?
I mean, he definitely has the stuff. Like he's definitely an impact starter whenever he's healthy and on the mound. He's really good. He's a lefty, throws 100. Really good breaking pitches, all that kind of good stuff. As far as him saying that he wants to be a long-term Red Sox, like, what do you want him to say? Like, do you want him to say, "Nah, man, I'm here for 1 year and then get out of here"? Like, no, he's gonna obviously say, "I want to be here long term. Like, I want to sign a contract extension." I think everybody in the major leagues wants to sign a long-term extension with whatever team they're with. You know, with a few exceptions here and there, but no, there. I just see it as him just being really good PR guy at that point. I mean, and he's an impact starter, so the Red Sox would be lucky to have him.
Yeah. It definitely, yeah, obviously what are you going to say? But he seemed really like, I don't know how to describe it. In his answer when watching, it was just seemed very optimistic. Like, yes, I'm finally happy to be home. And I don't know. I love seeing that though. For Boston fans, that's a
Yeah,
good find.
for sure.
So we'll move on. We will move to Paul Skeens. Debuted the other day, super like right on track where he left off. He was sharp in his 2025 debut. 3 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts. I'm going to let both of you guys go at this. Grant, we'll go with you first. Is Paul Skeens, and you're a Detroit fan, is he the best pitcher in the world right now?
I think he's top 3, and it's interchangeable between him, Skubal, and Zach Wheeler. And the what reason I say that is because Skeens has done it for like half a season. Yeah, he was awesome in college and throughout the minors, but for me to like term someone the best pitcher, I want to see durability. And Skubal was like, that was a huge question mark for him coming into last year, and he proved that he could withhold a full season and into the postseason. And same with Zach Wheeler. He's been like the most consistent, durable guy out there for the past 3 to 4 years. So I think Skeens is like right up there with those guys, and it's pretty impressive given their age difference. But I can't say he's the best pitcher in the game, just because those other two are doing it too. And I mean, Skubal's coming off a Cy Young, and I think he looks even better this year.
Yeah, Grant, what you can't say, I will. Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball, in the world. That man right there is absolutely insane. He added a cutter this offseason. And I don't know if y'all guys saw it, but it was like a 96, 97 mile an hour cutter that just bore in on some poor left-handed hitter. I don't even remember who it was now, but I was just sitting there watching. I'm like, that looks like some dude's slider, but 96, 97 miles an hour. And it's ridiculous. The fact that he added another just insanely wipeout pitch. I mean, dude's just the best pitcher on the planet. And that's coming from somebody who has no ties to Pittsburgh, don't care about the Pirates, but yeah, he's the real deal.
The only tie I have to Pittsburgh, like, I love Paul Skeens, don't get me wrong. I love that man. I love that he's a thing. I love that baseball has him. Like a power horse, 6'7", shove it in your face pitcher who's like, he's a student of the game. He clearly loves baseball and he's all in, which is like great to see that we have a superstar with a bunch of talent that's not, like gets all the hype and he's about to get, paid in a certain amount of years. We know he's going to be making a lot of money and he has the complete opposite mentality of like an Anthony Rendon. So I love seeing that for baseball. And he seems to be super cool with the kids. I got his autograph at an Indianapolis Indians game and he waited there in the cold. It was a cold night. It was like probably 50 some degrees, maybe even cooler for baseball. Wearing a sweatshirt. He got pulled early from the start because this was right before. It was like one of his 5 or 6 starts before he got the call to the big leagues. And he sat there and waited for everybody to sign their autograph. Like, I can't say it enough. I love Paul Skeens. Yes, I will side with you on this one, Grant, though. I think in order to earn best in the world, you have to have that durability, and we haven't seen enough. At the end of this year, if Skeens does nothing more to, he just remains exactly how he is, he's the best pitcher in the world.
Yeah.
But, okay, if we're going by durability, though, like Zach Wheeler should be the best pitcher in baseball then because he's done it year in, year out, no matter what. I'm even Scooble for that instance. Like Scooble, he's only had one really healthy year, and that was 2024. A phenomenal year, like literally won the AL Cy Young that one healthy year. But I mean, we got to hold everybody to the same standard in my eyes, and if we're saying Scooble is up there too, well, we got to throw Skeens in that conversation.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I think Wheeler is the number one right now overall. If you factor in durability, talent, and results, I think Wheeler's number one. You have your outliers. Like, obviously, you have your Chris Sale, who's like disgusting when he's on. But the problem is, last year was his first real year in 2, 3, 4 years, essentially, for Chris Sale. And like Jacob deGrom, when he's on, he's better than everyone, but he's not on all the time. I want to see Skeens for like another year. If you could pay, go a full year and a half, no real setbacks, he's just disgusting. I got to take him. He's doing it, except he's on the Pirates and he's doing it. He's throwing harder than everyone else. So it's hard for me not to give it. If we see one more year of him doing this, number one at the end of the season for sure. At least my opinion. But we can move on. Some quick things. I'll read through Kevin Pillar. He signed a minor league deal with the Rangers, and he could figure into their center field plans. We'll see how that plays out. Wyatt Langford, I know their outfield's dealing with some injuries. Wyatt Langford's dealing with an oblique, so we'll see how that pans out for the Rangers. Oakland signed third baseman Luis Arias to a 1-year, $1.1 million deal. George Lombard Jr., I want to bring this up for the Yankees because the Yankees have had a lot of injuries go on already. And I know he's 19, but he is at, right now he's at camp. He's 19 years old. And have you guys seen him play at all yet? First round pick out of high school 2 years ago?
No, I haven't.
Yanks? Okay, so Lombard, he's not only a defensive, he's sick at defense. Look at him crank this as a 19-year-old. He hits the scoreboard. He's 19 and crushed it. Yeah. So as a Yankee fan, of course, I am all in on this. If he gets the call up at some point later in the year, let's say Volpe isn't doing it because every Yankee fan believes that Anthony Volpe is going to pop off this year. If Volpe moves to second, or if Lombard gets the call early and comes to second, that could address a lot of infield needs for the Yankees internally, because obviously everyone knows they're not getting Arenado, and they missed on Bregman. So, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think that the Yankees have any shot left with Nolan Arenado on this? I know I didn't put this in the agenda, but that's the whole big thing. The Yankees still need an infielder to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Arenado is the guy that the Yankees want, then they'll go get him. I mean, his swing plays perfectly well in Yankee Stadium. I think as far as, playing in a little league field, I think anybody's swing would play well. But I don't know, man. I don't know if the Yankees are going to go after Arenado. As far as Lombard goes, I mean, the dude's he his numbers have seemed good. He was really highly touted whenever he came through. I remember, I want to say it was 2022 or 2023 Bowman draft or Chrome that he was in. I can't remember the exact release, but whatever release it was around that time, he was super highly touted. Like everybody was wanting him, but also it could just be a Yankee thing. I don't know. I don't think he comes up at 19. I mean, I think they want to get him some more time in the minors just to see, but hey, he could fill a defensive role at second base or short if y'all needed him to.
Yeah, we'll see. One last note about the Yankees, at least for this portion of the show. Let's talk about Aaron Boone. He just signed an extension. He got $15 million over the next 3 years. So Aaron Boone now becomes the second highest paid, tied with Torey Lavulo down in Diamondbacks, manager in baseball. Now the Yankees are claiming they don't have money to spend on players, and they sign Aaron Boone to become the second highest paid manager in baseball. I have my thoughts as a Yankee fan. How obviously the Yankees were going to extend Aaron Boone. They didn't need to sign him for $5 million. Grant, let's start with you. How, on a 1 to 10 scale, where's Aaron Boone for you in terms of a manager, 1 to 10? Like, does he deserve to be the second highest paid manager in all of baseball right now?
Yeah, he's up there for me, top 5 at least. I mean, the Yankees, pay a lot of their players and have one of the highest payrolls. And so, like, you're expected to make it into the postseason, but he's been super consistent. And the run they made last year was really impressive. And I know they have one of the best hitters in the game, so that helps too. But I think he's definitely worth it. I mean, it's funny seeing the top name there, Chicago Cubs with Craig Counsell, like that. That was the epitome of that was their big offseason move last year. So they said, "Oh, we don't have money to spend on players," but then they spent all the money on him. So Yankees, I think, are still like putting their money in on, Fried and Goldschmidt and Bellinger. So they're making improvements in the roster and also with their manager. And I feel like just New York Yankees like front office likes to keep things as consistent as possible. So they wanted to keep him around, and I don't see a problem with it at all.
Wow. I was not expecting that answer. I was expecting you to dump on Aaron Boone.
No, I like him. I like him a lot.
He's a player's coach. I can't like a player's manager. I can't get mad about that. Like any guy willing to like talk shit to an ump because like for his player, I'll respect. But Ben, where are you at? You're a Braves fan. You got Brian Snicker on this list, and Snicker is one of the best to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that no matter what team you root for or whatever, you're always going to have gripes about the manager, regardless of who it is. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Craig Counsell, Torey Lovolo, Bruce Bochy, any of the top guys. I think Aaron Boone is perfectly fine for what he does. I mean, he took the Yankees to the World Series last year, and granted, a lot of that was Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, but I mean, he still coached them to the World Series, and he made the move to put Luke Weaver as the closer, and just I don't know, he makes decent decisions most of the time. I'm not the biggest Aaron Boone fan. I think the only reason he still has a job is because Aaron Judge is on the team, and Aaron Judge has like gone up to bat literally and figuratively for Aaron Boone for many years now. So I think it's fine. I mean, Aaron Boone got his money, and good for him.
Yeah, I agree with the Judge take on that one. That piece was put out in December, which was like one of the most updated pieces, actually ranking the managers. I'm surprised AJ Hinch was not a top 10 guy for Detroit, at least in December. I don't know if he signed an extension at all this offseason. He might have.
I really don't know what his contract looks like right now, but I think after the whole cheating scandal, they kind of got him at a really good discount.
Fair enough. Andrew Heaney, he signs a 1-year, $5.25 million contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, the reason why I think this is noteworthy, outside of Andrew Heaney being a solid fantasy option for deep end leagues, last year he almost had one WAR. He had a 4.3 ERA. He had 32 games and 31 starts. He's the model of innings consistency. If we look at his innings year over year, and you could see the last few years, 150 innings in 2023, 160 the year last year. He has 72, and then a total of 130. So this guy really does get you north of 100 innings year over year. For the Pirates, who now have Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler's on the way. You got Paul Skeens. We already talked about him enough on this episode. And I'm trying to think. I'm forgetting about Mitch Keller. This Pirates rotation is actually kind of deep. Do we think the Pirates can make the playoffs in 2025? Yes, no, then go.
No,
I didn't mean to make that
absolutely
rhyme
not.
either. Did not mean to make that rhyme. Ben, you don't think they're in though?
No, I do not. I think their offense is still at least a couple of years away. I think this Andrew Heaney signing is. I love it though, because come July 1st, August 1st, Andrew Heaney will not be wearing a Pirates uniform anymore. He will be getting traded for an offensive prospect bat at some point. It's just a matter of who and what caliber of prospect it is. But I think that's why I love it. I think it's a really good signing for them to flip at the deadline, because they have some absolute dudes coming through that system as far as starting pitching goes.
Yeah, that's not even including Braxton Ashcraft. I think it's Thomas Harrington as well. Guys they just have waiting. I don't know. It's kind of crazy how good they've done with the pitching there. But so let's talk about, and you just brought it up. Pirates, they don't have enough offense, right? So Grant, where do you think they can make the playoffs or no?
No, I pretty much echo what Ben said. Their offense is really lacking. I mean, their best player is O'Neal Cruz, and his strikeout rate is so high. If he can improve that, then maybe. But they're like the Mariners light, where the Mariners actually have a decent offense to compete with their rotation. But the Pirates rotation is also worse than the Mariners, and their offense is also worse than the Mariners. So I don't see it.
I like that comparison. I'm going to steal that one from you. I've never heard that one, but that's a real good way to look at it. They are the Mariners light. What brings it up, which is my next point, which I was going to bring up before I cut you off, Ben, was that right now they're testing Adam Frazier and Nick York at first base. That's a dire situation if you're testing Adam Frazier and Nick York at first base. Right now, I think from what I read and saw, Adam Frazier's leading that competition. That's not a good sign for them power wise if Adam Frazier's going to be playing first for them. But we could jump ahead. Jose Urena, he joined the Mets at camp this week as a non-roster invitee on a minor league deal for $2 million. So he has incentives in this deal. This is per John Heyman of the New York Post. We'll jump to some injuries, and this one's a big injury, I think. Andrew Benintendi, out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand after being hit by a pitch. Benintendi's had his ups and downs, obviously, throughout his career. Benintendi's a good player, though, objectively speaking. And he is one of the better players on the White Sox, and they're now going to miss him for arguably the first 2 months of the season. Ben, Grant, either of you guys have strong thoughts on Benintendi this year, bouncing back after this hand injury?
He's
Can I make a real quick point about Urania first, actually, before we move on? Sorry.
Yeah.
So Urania, you ever seen the movie Goon with I think it's Sean William Scott?
It is
Hockey
Sean William
movie?
Scott.
Yeah. So that's Jose Urania. He's just going to get on the mound and just bean players. There's been so many instances where he has just drilled Ronald Acuna Jr., and that's why if you hear me boo, that's why. Now, as far as Andrew Benintendi goes, I mean, he's been not great, to be honest with you. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I think he had a stretch last year for about a month where he was good, and then the rest of the year is kind of like a 600 OPS guy. and just kind of playing all right defense. Like the only reason he still has a starting job in baseball right now is because he plays on literal worst team in history, and so hopefully he bounces back. But we'll see.
Yeah,
No, good point.
I think the only thing that was good about him is they could plug him into the lineup every day. Now they're gonna have to try to find like a mixed match of guys to fill that hole until he can come back. I mean, with or without him isn't a huge difference, I think, in terms of offense. It's just now they don't have that reliable defensive guy in their lineup.
Yeah. So other injuries that did happen outside of Benintendi, Luis Heel, he underwent an MRI yesterday on Saturday for his shoulder tightness. I didn't see any results come out yet. I don't know if you guys did. If so, I missed it. But, Luis Heel, what did he win? Rookie of the Year last year for the Yanks. And now he was looking like, thank goodness they signed Max Fried. Just give them some extra cushion there. But they're about a starter away from being a real issue, especially if that starter who goes down is Fried or Garrett Cole. Are we really considering Carlos Rodon a one anymore? No. I think that part of his career is over. So we'll see. The Yankees, though, dealing with a lot of injuries because Stanton is going to miss the start of the year on the IL with his elbows, his tennis elbows. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that. And then DJ LeMahieu, he tweaked his left calf and he can miss some time according to manager Aaron Boone. So not saying that LeMahieu or Stan, we know what Stanton is. He bats barely his weight and he hits a lot of home runs. And
I think
then
he weighs a lot.
actually, I don't even think he hits his weight. I'm thinking about it. Good call out there. And then you got DJ LeMahieu, who had a horrible year last year. Injuries aside, he was just productivity was not great even for the games he missed. And now he's looking like he's banged up again. I don't know how much longer they have in the DJ LeMahieu career in New York. He might get released before the season starts to clear space. I wouldn't be shocked. But we'll move on. Cleveland Guardians owner Larry Dolan, he died at the age of 94. Sad story. He ran the ball club. He purchased it back in 2000. And they've been relatively one of the more successful ball clubs in all of baseball in the last 25 years, the Guardians. So, they obviously had a name change during his tenure. I think they won the AL Central multiple times, including 3 years in a row, I think in the mid 2000s or later 2000s. They went to the World Series. They had that crazy win streak. They've had some ace pitchers come through there, and they've had J-Ram. Had a lot of good things happen since the year 2000. Sad story, and now it looks like Son Paul is going to be the primary controller and has been acting that for quite some time. So nothing I don't think big is going to change there, but just thoughts and prayers out to the Cleveland fan base this week. So this one I want to talk to you guys about. I think this one could be a long talking point. Major League Baseball Players Association Director Tony Clark made it clear that he remains against a salary cap. And he was quoted saying, "My position on the cap has not changed. It hurts them. It's not in the best interest of the players." And what are your thoughts on baseball and not having a salary cap? Do you think baseball needs one? Or you think keep as is right now, no salary minimum either?
I think it's going to be so hard and to overturn and take so long for them to actually get to a point where there isn't one. So I personally think there should be, just in the general sense of fairness in the game like we see in other sports, and that would be a big way at contributing to that. I just don't see them coming to an agreement between the MLBPA and the MLB.
Ben?
I agree with Tony Clark. I don't think there should be a salary cap. I do think there should be a floor of some sort, or at least putting a restriction on the amount of deferred money that you can possibly give somebody. But because I just think that would be better for the game to not have a salary cap, but at least put a lid on the deferments of payments, because anybody can do it, of course, but I don't see the point of doing that, long term. But I just don't think there should be a salary cap. I think players should get paid what they're worth. I think it's crazy to see Alex Bregman get $40 million a year over 3 years, and if we had a salary cap, he probably wouldn't get that. He'd probably be, getting 20, 25 at most. And so good for him. I think Tony Clark said it right. Shouldn't have a salary cap. Former player, of course, he's going to side with the players.
Yeah, and I definitely think there should be a salary floor. Like you should have to spend a minimum to stay competitive in the terms of fairness, because it's not fair when you have teams spending 400 million like on payroll next year, and you have teams like barely spending 50 million. The cause of that, outside of people like handling their money differently, like we're never going to tell a billionaire how to own their money. But I did notice one thing. I was reading a little bit into this, and in Forbes, they ranked the top 100 sports franchises in terms of wealth. All 30 of the NFL franchises, or 32, and all 30 of the NBA franchises are all in the top 100 professional leagues. Only, I think, 15 of the 30 baseball teams are in there, and it was like 8 of the 30 NHL teams. I think that they, in terms of maybe not new ownership, but going forward, anyone who's inheriting the team has to like amass and provide a certain amount of net worth in order to run a team. And if not, you have to like group with someone. I think that the Dodgers, reason why they're so effective, they have multiple partners owning. It's a group owning that team. It's not one man. Even if there's a majority owner, they all have money. You have guys like Magic Johnson and why, you know, Tampa Bay. Why are they not going to some famous Tampa Bay Lightning players and like they've won how many Stanley Cups? Get a few of those guys to invest. Get multiple investors. I think instead of having, I know people don't want to split control and it's a control thing. But in order to play the league, I think it's best interest in the league if they can get some of these teams' ownership's values up, so that way they're able to pay more and spend more on like things such as marketing, budgeting, sales, all that stuff. It costs money to do. And if you're trying to you just break X every year after selling a certain amount of hot dogs and beers, like it's not going to make you competitive. You got to think outside the box.
And going on that point though, like talking about teams who have a group of guys who are or a group of people who are investing in the team like the Dodgers. The Braves are owned by Liberty Media, which they're a publicly traded company, so they have to appease their shareholders as well, and so they're going to not spend as much money as say the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers, even though they technically have that kind of money. They, especially with the battery and everything that they built around Truist Park, but they're not going to necessarily spend that kind of money because they want their shareholders to be able to profit as well. And if they do that, then they're not going to be able to do that. There's got to be some kind of compromise. Got to be something that people who get paid a hell of a lot more than me can figure out and come together and decide like, hey, this is going to be what's best for the game. And until then, you're still going to have teams like the Rays who spend in the Dollar General and turn those Dollar General fines into full course meals. But I don't know, man. There's a lot that goes into it, but there should be some kind of compromise they can figure out.
Yeah. And last point, I want to get your takes on this. I don't know if you guys saw the Tokyo series, the jerseys they unveiled. So this is the Dodgers, what they're going to be wearing for the Tokyo series games in Japan. And then you have the Cubs uniforms, which these are both very interesting choices, we'll say. I think they could have done a much better job on these. What do you guys think? Do you think they fit the trend for playing in Tokyo, or do you think that they got lazy on these uniforms?
Yeah, I the Cubs one looks kind of weird because it's like just two logos, and I don't know. I think they could have, if they were trying to do something like unique, they could have done a lot more bolder options. The Dodgers one's kind of cool, but like they could have put that all across the jersey. I think they could have gone a little bit more all out for it.
Agreed. You could have made this like a totally floral, like Hawaiian looking.
Yeah.
Even though I know they're playing in Tokyo, but make it like a Hawaiian looking flower patch, but Tokyo style flower patch. You know what I mean? Like that I know I'm probably improperly saying it, but you know what I mean. Like I think they definitely got lazy and could have put more into these, but
I get the cherry blossom design because the cherry blossom tree is one of the most famous parts of agriculture in the Japanese culture, but they do look kind of lazy a little bit. They could have done more with the cherry blossom. They could have done, I don't know, just something else besides throw like what 7, 8 flowers on there and then call it a day.
yeah, exactly. And like the cherry blossoms, it's an awesome looking plant. Like they could have really done. I don't know. especially with those City Connect uniforms. They spent so much time and money putting the City Connect uniforms, which are like gross. They're done horribly. And then, you get that product. But outside of that, thank you all for listening. Follow all of us on social media. Have really good takes about baseball all across, the MLB universe, from Tigers fans, the Braves fans, Yankees fans, Sox fans, Mets fans. We have all pretty much coverage all over the place. Read some of our latest articles. We had a Braves top 10 prospect list come out about their 2024 season review. We had Joe Barlow's adjustments come out from Sam Horvath. Intro piece on all the writers, which Dean Siriaco, our leader, he put out there. We had targets in each fantasy position. Nick Francis put that out. And then NL East future bets, Greg Monroe wrote about that all this week. So a lot of good coverage about a lot of different topics. Definitely, if you haven't, I know Dean sent them to you guys. Did you guys get your seeds yet?
Yes, I got
We
mine.
are sponsored by Chinook Seedery, so please go and visit. They are awesome. They sent us a shit ton of seeds. So Grant, if you didn't get yours yet, definitely DM Dean. He'll send you some. They were very kind and courteous to us to send us a bunch. So go get your seeds. I didn't get mine yet from Dean. I'll take that up with him after this, actually. But outside of that, any last words from you two, or we good to go?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Bye.